because Marte was the subject of some vicious, cruel taunting at the ballpark this week, and it made news because not only was the fan thrown out and banned, but because we saw Marte visibly shaken on the field, having to be consoled by his teammates and his manager. Now, what is the type of taunt that could be so vicious that a player would break down in tears? Well, Marte's mother was killed in a car accident a number of years ago, and this fan taunted him about that. I don't think it takes me to tell you how below board that is. It's one thing to taunt a guy, obviously, about baseball. It's one thing to do good-natured ribbing. It's another thing to taunt a guy about a deceased relative, his mother. I mean, obviously, I don't have to say this, but obviously there's no place for that. And that guy should get tossed. That guy should get banned. And Marte has every reason to be shook by that. That's not the sign of some weak-minded player or overly sensitive athlete. That's who wouldn't get rattled by that. But my bigger point is this. It's almost a given that if you say something like that at the ballpark, you're going to be tossed and banned. So there is ramifications. You will be banned from the stadium, perhaps for life, for saying something like that. And yet, what are the ramifications of doing so on the internet? I bring a story. Jordan Whitlock, who is the wife of Red Sox pitcher Garrett Whitlock, and she screenshotted a number of disgusting messages that Garrett got this week on social media. And you could only imagine how ugly they are. We all have seen these types of things before. And this is why I think a fan can go out to the ballpark and taunt Marte about his dead mom. It's because it's become so regular, so normalized on the internet. And it's kind of amazing because normal people understand that the people that say nasty stuff on the internet would never say that to you in person. But for that guy at the ballpark, you think that's the first time he said something that vicious and cruel to an athlete? You don't walk up to the ballpark and suddenly turn into that type of monster. You've done it before. And I realize it's really hard to police the internet. And I realize that I might be shouting into the wind. But if we could ever, as a society, get a hold on that type of stuff that's being said to people every day on the internet, then maybe we could clean up some of the behavior. It's because on the internet, there are no ramifications. And you don't think that those still have an effect? You're watching Marte in the middle of a stadium with cameras on him and thousands of people watching his teammates break down and cry. My guess is if he sees that on the internet, if he gets that DM, if he gets that message, that same effect might happen at home. But we don't see that. And we just assume that, well, there's no voice behind it. It's all anonymous. And so these athletes are used to it. These families are used to it. But maybe they're not. Maybe they're not. And maybe we should take that more seriously. And why can't we track IP addresses? And why can't we track usernames? Why can't we do this as Twitter, as Instagram, as TikTok, as Facebook? Why can't these social media platforms begin policing death threats? Begin policing that cruel and unusual verbiage? I'm not saying we need to become a society where everything is always policed, everything that you say. What I am saying is if you can say it in person and that gets you banned from the stadium for life, why shouldn't you be banned for life from the stadium for saying it on the internet? Police it the same way, you'll get the same results. It's not okay that we just go by and large and say, yeah, well, athletes get death threats all the time, and it's not cool, but there's nothing we can do. That's not cool. It's not cool that anybody gets death threats, not just athletes, but those are in our sports world here. It's amazing to me that when you say to the ballpark, there's massive ramifications. Everybody goes, no, you shouldn't do that. When it's said online, we shrug our shoulders and go, what can you do?